Our audio is live.
Good evening. This meeting will be held in accordance with the governor's new executive order, November 29-20, issued on March 17th, 2020, regarding the open meeting requirements of the Ralph M. Brown Act, California Government Code, Section 54950, etc., and the Federal Americans with Disability Act in an effort to help avoid the spread of COVID-19, to maximize transparency, and to provide public access to the City Council's meeting. The City of Riverbank regular City Council and Local Redevelopment Authority Board meetings are now in session. Today is Tuesday, September 8th, 2020. The time is 6 p.m. I'm going to do the flag salute today. Would everyone please place your hand over your heart? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Council Authority Member District 2, Cindy Fossey. Here. Council Authority Member District 3, Cal Campbell.
Here.
Council Authority Member District 4, Darlene Barbara Martinez has an excused absence. Vice Mayor Chair Luis Uribe.
Here.
Mayor Chair Richard D. O'Brien.
Here. There are no changes to the agenda. Any council or authority member or staff who has a direct conflict of interest in any scheduled agenda item to be considered is to declare their conflict at this time. Seeing none, we'll go directly to public comments. At this time, member of the public may comment on any item not appearing on the agenda and within the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council LRA Board. Individual comments will be limited to a maximum of 3 minutes or as required. Under state law, matters presented during the public comment period cannot be discussed or acted upon. Annabelle, are there any public comments?
There are no public comments, Mayor.
Then we're going to move on to the consent calendar, consisting of item 3A, waive readings. Item 3B, approval of the May 26, 2020 City Council and Local Redevelopment Authority Board minutes. Item 3B1, approval of the June 9th, 2020 City Council and Local Redevelopment Authority Board meetings. Anyone wishing to pull any of the items or comments? Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented?
Vice Mayor Uribe here. I'll make a motion. We approve the consent calendar as stated.
I second. Vice Cindy Fossey.
Okay, we have a motion to approve by the Vice Mayor and a second by Councilmember Fossey. Roll call, please.
Council Authority Members Campbell.
Yes.
Fossey.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Chair Uribe.
Yes.
Mayor Chair O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Item 5 is a public hearing. 5.1, a resolution approving the findings of the Traffic Impact Mitigation Fee Program update, July 16th, 2020, and adoption of the City of Riverbank growth-related traffic impact mitigation for the general plan timeframe of 2005 through 2025, establishing updated system development fees related to traffic to be effective November 7th, 2020.
Mayor and Council, we have two folks on the Zoom tonight that are going to present this item. First, I'm going to flip it to Kathleen Cleek, our Development Services Administration Manager, who has taken this project from its very beginning to what it is now in front of you. And it was a substantial effort because we wanted to make sure we had fees in place for some of the new development that's coming here within the next year. And then, of course, always try to be careful about fee increases, understanding that all of these things affect housing affordability. So she's done a really good job with that, and I'll let her introduce the item and then flip it to John Anderson, who has also assisted on the project.
Thank you, Sean. Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. The last update to the city system development fees was in 2015. So throughout the course of the last year or so, we realized that we needed to do an update. And we started out with the update to our transportation component of the plan. So to do this, John Anderson, Bill Cole, and myself spent numerous meetings going through all of the projects that were listed in the Nexus study. We were able to eliminate some projects that were already completed, remove transportation projects which are programmed to be funded by other sources, and also update the construction costs for the 2020 costs. So we went through all of that. We added a few projects. We added some regional significant projects, Coffee Road and Clarabelle Road improvements. The project list was then reviewed by everybody, and then it was turned over to Wildan and for them to use for their update. So tonight, John Anderson with JB Anderson Land Use Planning is going to give you an overview of Wildan's final study.
Thanks, Kathleen. I think that my screen is being shared and you guys hopefully can see the PowerPoint I'm going to go through. Kathleen did a great job of kind of paraphrasing where we've been with this project. It's not really an opportunity for the city to kind of true up the traffic impact mitigation fee account. And as Kathleen has said, that there's a number of transportation improvements that have been completed or more importantly, been funded by other sources. So the fee program that we presented to you tonight is accurate as of right now. The construction costs have been updated, which is significant because really what the city had before this was, outdated construction costs that we just simply carried an appreciation factor, throughout the years to bring it current. And this kind of, again, is a true up to the fee program. So after having said that, I'll go through this PowerPoint presentation. So click on it and there we go. So tonight we're asking you to approve the findings of the traffic impact mitigation fee program and adopt a resolution to make these fees applicable to all new development projects that come through for a building permit issuance. Obviously, the traffic impact fees in and of themselves are tools that local agencies use to help fund construction of infrastructure, in this case, roadway improvements. And we also use that to mitigate various impacts that new development create as a result of that new development in a defined area. And then also is a tool that we use to help finance, whether it's a local share contribution or 100% funded through the development fee program. So before this, really, we assigned inflationary adjustments. Last adjustment on this was made April 24th of 2018. The updates, have been made really to address, as we've already talked about, capital improvements which have been completed, deleted projects, and or projects that have been funded by other outside sources. And then, of course, most importantly, transportation improvements that are going to be necessary to carry the city of Riverbank through the growth projections contemplated by the 2025 general plan. So as stated in the staff report in February of 2019, the city hired Wildan Associates, which helped us basically crank the numbers. In other words, once Bill Cole and his office had prepared the cost estimates for the various transportation improvements, we needed Wildan to kind of crank the numbers to make sure they're internally consistent and also consistent with the AB 1600 law. as mandated by the state of California. Also, the fees were reconciled in the account to take care of or take into consideration reimbursements that are owed to other developers, and of course, net cash that's in the account currently based on fee revenue that has been generated to date. So the infrastructure required, again, is to serve new development. City's preferred method of financing this is through the impact fees, which we're adjusting by this action tonight. And of course, they're legally required and justified through the Nexus study that's been prepared and published as part of this agenda item. And then, of course, used the population projections that were part of the general plan 2025 update. The original transportation budget in 2015 was approximately 43 million. The budget that we have now, which is adjusted, is a net figure around 46 million. And then out of that, to reduce that number to 46, the city identified almost $11 million worth of projects that will be funded by other means. Again, the land use assumptions are consistent with the general plan. And then we're contemplating, that level of development through 2025, which is the forecasted time frame for the general plan. The growth projections are described in this table 2, which is part of your staff report and also part of the Wildan report. These trip generations and unit counts are consistent with the general plan that we have that's adopted for the city. The net in all this is a side-by-side comparison as to where the fees are currently based on the adopted 2018 traffic fees versus what we're suggesting today. What you'll see is that in the number of cases, the commercial fees are going to go down and the residential trips and impacts will go up. And this is a direct relationship with the new way that we're analyzing traffic as it relates to VMT versus LOS, and then also discounts for commercial based on industry standards. So this is a project. So because it is a project, we have to go through environmental evaluation. We believe, based on our findings, that simply the adoption of these fees is not subject to CEQA, as stated in our presentation and also in the resolution that's presented to you. So the stated goals of this is to, again, to be consistent with the city of Riverbank and the strategic goals and findings as set forth by the city council. And this is to maintain financial stability and sustainability. And then again, impose traffic mitigation fees that are truly reflective of what new developments and obligations are towards capital improvements. So tonight we're recommending that the city council approve the findings for the traffic impact mitigation fee program as outlined and adopt the resolution that's been presented to you for consideration. So Kathleen and I are both here and available to answer any questions that the council has on this item, but that concludes my presentation.
Thank you very much. Staff report is quite thorough. I like the study by Wildan. Are there any council comments or questions on this item?
None for me.
I would just like to, this is Councilmember Campbell, I'd just like to thank Kathleen and John and everybody that was involved in analyzing this, because I know it took a lot of time from them and you did a very fine job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No questions for me. Good job.
All right, thank you. I open for a public hearing. Are there any public comments, Annabelle?
No, there are no public comments.
Should I wait on your expertise for a while, or should I continue on?
You can continue on.
All right. I'm going to close for a public hearing. I have just one quick comment. As we move forward, I know we have the inflation rate mitigation as we move forward, but no one could have expected at this time increase in construction costs that have occurred above and beyond inflation. So, Sean, as we move forward in adjusting our fees, I would like to make sure that we take that in consideration. And Kathleen, I know you do. So just keep it up. And now we can update the CPI list and
Yes.
CIP list and what a true cost is.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And for the council, is there a motion to approve the resolution as presented?
Councilmember Campbell, I'd like to make a resolution that we pass item 5.1 as stated.
Vice Mayor Uribe here. I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Campbell to approve item 5.1 as stated, and second by the Vice Mayor. Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Campbell,
Yes.
Fosse,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Uribe,
Yes.
Mayor O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Item 6.1, designation of a voting delegate and alternate to attend the virtual 2020 League of California Cities Annual Conference and Expo.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, Council. As Council is well aware, there will be no in-person league conference this year due to COVID constraints. However, they have put together a pretty robust annual conference, and we'll be doing all of the same kinds of business they do each year. So with that said, and I know a number of our council members have already RSVP'd to attend, every year the league requests that the council take action in order to participate in the annual business meeting, which, as you know, happens on the last day of the conference typically, and to appoint a voting delegate and one or two alternates. The participation in that meeting ensures that Riverbank has the opportunity to initiate and influence policy decisions that happen at these league meetings. I'm going to be bringing to you next meeting the league resolution packet that we typically get every year. We received this week, and there's only one resolution this year that is up for vote. And so I'll have a full analysis for you at your next meeting. But the action for councils tonight is to appoint a voting delegate and one or two alternates. And just in case you're interested, the current league executive committee reps are Councilmember Campbell as the primary and Vice Mayor Uribe as the alternate. And also you have to be registered at the conference to participate in the vote. And so any direction council would like to provide, we'd be happy to take. Thank you.
Well, Cal, if you're interested in being the primary again, more than willing to be the alternate again, or vice versa.
That's fine with me, Luis. I'll be the primary, and if something happens to me, you can take over as the alternate, okay?
Sounds good.
That didn't sound right there, Cal. Cindy, do you want to participate?
I'm good with them. They can go ahead.
They do need two alternates, Cindy, so you're more than welcome to.
I can go as a second alternate, yes.
Sure.
That'd be
I'll
great.
go as not participating.
I don't think you do that. You always participate.
Did Mayor just say he wants to be primary?
From what I gathered, is it Cal, you're going to be the primary?
Yes.
And the vice mayor will be the secondary.
Yes, sir.
And Councilmember Fosse will be the second secondary.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay. Annabelle, are there any public comments?
There are no public comments.
Okay, from the council, is there a motion to approve the designated delegates?
Vice Mayor Uribe here. I'll make a motion. We approved item 6.1 as stated.
Councilmember Fosse, I second.
And we have a motion to approve by the Vice Mayor and a second by Councilmember Fossey on item 6.1, designating Councilmember Campbell as the primary, Vice Mayor as alternate, and Councilmember Fossey as the second alternate. Roll call, please.
Council members Campbell,
Yes.
Fossey,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Uribe,
Yes.
Mayor O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Item 6.2, General Local Public Health COVID-19 update.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to share my screen here in just a moment. Whoops, start at the end there. Sorry.
At the end.
Let me start at the beginning.
Okay.
That's a good place to start usually. Okay, so COVID update. This is the, let me make sure this is, I'm very sorry, Council, the wrong PowerPoint. I'm going to unshare just for one moment and let me pull up the correct one. I don't know how that happened. One moment.
While he's doing that, we're now at 295 deaths for the county. We don't know exactly how many in the city of Riverbank, and we'll try to get that. Our hospital beds are opening up to the ICU for COVID, but not as rapidly as the rest of the state.
Okay, now I have the correct one. Let me just pull it up here. I've done so many of these at this point, I have like 15 different PowerPoints. Okay, sharing here. There we go. Okay, so quick update. Here are our numbers as of this afternoon that I just pulled off of the website. You see we're now up to 15,400 cases, 290 deaths. These charts are, although the numbers are helpful, they don't really show a trend in a way that's sort of discernible. You can see the more steep that the curve is on these total specimen collection dates. You can see how quickly it moved up in the months of July to date. But you'll also see in the September timeframe that the curve is not quite as steep, which is good, and I'll get to that in just a moment. Here is our local data, which shows that in the Riverbank zip code, we are now at 767 positive cases. We are still not at a point in terms of the number of deaths where it's over the number that would be reportable under the county guidelines yet. So that's a good thing. Here's some local data on our metrics. These are the sort of major issues that we have in moving to these other tiers of phased reopening. So basically all of the purple areas where you do not want to be. You want to be moving into the red and orange and then eventually the yellow areas. And you can tell that most of the state is purple still, although a few counties came off of it just today. We're still at a 14.5 new COVID positive case rate, which is not good. We need to be down, I think, below 5 to get to where we want to go. And our positivity rate is also quite high in this metric. We, again, need to be down in the lower 5% and under categories, and this hasn't happened for us lately, or at least within the last couple week period. Here's some COVID numbers just statewide. You have nearly 750,000 cases, over almost 14,000 fatalities. The governor had a press conference today, and the numbers are starting to look better. There's a reduction in hospitalizations. We're starting to see the numbers start to slow a little, and I'll get to that in a second. The state trend kind of illustrates what I just said. The best metric to really look at are these first two areas here. You can see where the peaks occurred in California between June and essentially last month, and you then see the trend line starting to go down quite a bit in terms of daily reported cases. And then the other very positive number here statewide is overall positivity on the 7-day and 14-day metric. They have at 3.8% and 4.3%. These numbers kind of come and go depending on the week, so it's really not helpful to look at it in a short time frame. You want to see what it looks like over a 30-day or more period, though the state is reviewing everything essentially on most of the metrics are on a previous 14-day period. The Stanislaus County trends along those lines show similar. You'll see we've had some strange data where we have just massive peaks and then a relaxation and then massive peaks. A lot of that is reporting issues, but you will see that in the more recent days in September that they have listed here, our numbers are much lower, certainly than they were in August. And our death numbers are a difficult one to see on a graph because at 290 deaths, if you have 10, let's say in a day, you have a spike that day versus, I think most days when I get the update from the EOC, it's somewhere between 3 and 5, some days 7 deaths. So overall, you can see that the two charts generally follow each other, which is what you think they would. That's really the data. The main kind of updates I have for you, since we talked about this a number of times recently, is we've received, I know council has, and I certainly have as well, received a lot of community feedback on playground closure. We've been contacted by many folks asking us to think about reopening those. As of just this afternoon, there doesn't appear to be guidance stating that definitively that playgrounds can reopen. However, as with all of the guidelines and guidance we've received from the state, it's not crystal clear. Some of them relate to campground playgrounds. Some of them don't actually reference park playgrounds. This is a conservative, approach to reviewing those guidelines just to be sure that we're in compliance. However, I will say that one of the problems that the city has to deal with that makes this decision important is that our insurance provider, our pooled insurance carrier, has issued a memo that definitively states that if we are not in compliance with state orders and you receive a claim for damages, let's say that someone gets sick and they're able to trace it back to a facility that shouldn't have been open, we were supposed to have open, that we likely would not have coverage in the event that that claim was litigated. So that's a major risk for the city. However, we do think that additional guidance is coming on this. And so what we've told members of the public is as soon as we are able to get that clearance to reopen those, we will, because we want them to be used and we want to make sure we're compliant. We also want to make sure that we're practicing what we preach. We have done what we can to enforce the state guidelines here in Riverbank, and we want to make sure that the city is following the rules it should follow as well. Youth sports, still the guidance allows only non-contact conditioning. So for example, on some of our fields, we have soccer teams that are just doing conditioning drills, not full games or anything like that. No allowances have been made for contact sports or leagues to resume activity. We've had some unpermitted leagues that have done day events. We try to get out there and educate them, but as of right now, that has not changed. And finally, there's a waiver process for K through 6 schools that's now in place in the county. You probably saw there was an article today in the Bee that a number of private schools have already been granted waivers. A couple of public school districts have already submitted their requests. I spoke to the superintendent today, who informed me that they are working on their waiver requests, but have no definitive date of when, if they're granted it, when they would return at this time. So there's a lot that goes into it. And I know they're working with County Public Health very closely on that. And that's really the main items tonight. The rest of it is sort of continues as is. The only thing I will add, and we'll see if I can share this. Let me see if I find it. I'm going to show you our. Can you all see this webpage? This is, if you haven't seen it yet, and this is for the public as much as it is the council. This is our small business.
There's no web page.
What's that?
There's no web page. It's just the COVID general update.
Oh, here, let me try this again. Does that work?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Maricela and I and Opportunity Stanislaus have worked quite a bit over the last 2 to 3 weeks to get up and running our business relief program. This is now live, riverbankbusinessrelief.com. You can go to it on your phone or your computer. You can apply online. You can also apply via mail if you'd like to. This has information on the details. If you scroll down, it explains very simply who's eligible, what required documents you need to apply, and then how you can apply. The deadline, applications are open now, and the deadline is September 25th at 5 p.m. So we're just encouraging our local businesses to get their applications in on time. And then if you head down a little further on the webpage, there's about 10 or 15 frequently asked questions, how things can be used. Are we going to use personal credit as a consideration? How long it's going to take to be funded, et cetera, and a bunch of helpful links. We also have some navigators that Opportunity Stanislaus is providing to help businesses apply that may need some assistance or may need to understand how the program works and have detailed questions. And those dates and times this week will be posted on our website, or you can call our office and come in and get some information and make an appointment to get help. So, and this was a program that the council directed and is already getting quite a bit of interest. And so we're very excited in a couple weeks to review the applications and get as many people funded as possible. And I'd be happy to answer any questions or receive any further guidance you may have.
Is there any comments from the council?
Sean, this is Cindy. We've talked several times this week about the parks and not having the exercise equipment or the children's playstations open. People on Facebook are really upset about it. And one of the main reasons they're upset is because they keep saying that they can go to Oakdale and Modesto and go to their playstations. Why is it they can go there and they can't go here? I mean, I totally get the insurance thing. Totally get that, but wouldn't it be the same in Modesto and Oakdale?
Well, so Modesto is a part of our pool, but and I can't speak to that decision that they made, but Oakdale is, and each community has sort of a different analysis of how it looks. I've asked the question not only of the EOC but of legal and really anybody that may have an answer, if there's any wiggle room here, and the answer I've been told pretty definitively over and over again is no. And so absent any sort of guidance and I've asked other cities the same question, is there some other information that you're receiving that I'm unaware of? And I'm not aware of that. Some places, there's some cities that have never shut down their playgrounds. And so really it's more of a risk decision, I think. It's in the absence of specific guidance that it's okay to do it. Our advice from a staff perspective would be that we think that there is relief coming along these lines soon. And so maybe it just makes sense to keep the course as it is until we receive that guidance directly.
Yeah, they're just not understanding it. I don't know how to get them or help them understand that it's an issue and we just can't open them right now. Okay, thank you.
Vice Mayor Uribe here. Since we're discussing all things COVID, what's the possibility of opening up another bathroom at Scout Hall for our homeless population?
Yeah, so that's one thing that I think we both noticed on Friday when we were out there. Sue and I have already had a conversation, and I'll be talking with her about getting it open earlier I noticed later towards the day it was open, but we wanted, I'm going to see if we can get the staff to be opening it earlier for those populations, especially on the days when we know they're usually there. So that shouldn't be a problem.
Thank you.
Vice Council Member Campbell, just a couple of comments along with Cindy. I know that one of our gyms here in town contacted me about they were losing membership because people were leaving to go to Oakdale to go to their gym because they had it open. I contacted Kristen Olson, our supervisor, and talked with her about it. And she said she would do something about it, but nothing has really been done about it to my knowledge at this time. And I think it's totally wrong that we're trying to do the right thing and then our neighboring city is stealing customers by doing the wrong thing. So if you have any ideas, I'm open to them.
Well, we've been in contact with the city of Oakdale and they're saying that that's not true. Now you can go in the back door and not be seen. I'm sorry, people are thinking that they're immune to COVID-19 and we can do whatever we want. The heck with it. Let's go to Oakdale and play on the playground when you have a great risk of spreading to not to the children because they can get infected but not really have the symptoms, but give it to their grandfather. And people like me, when they say, well, he died, he had underlying conditions, that's too bad. When that's what they always say, and it's just not right. The underlying conditions exist in every one of us over the age of 60. Some of you will get there tomorrow. But going to Oakdale to visit a gym that should not be open, is that right? No. And I think I applaud the city council and the city staff for maintaining what is right. We have to be closed, and then we have to make sure we have a level playing field, at least in what we can control. And we can't control what other organizations are allowing, but not confronting like we are. Any other comments? Annabelle, are there any public comments?
There are no public comments.
All right, Sean, thank you for the update. It is 295 deaths right now in Stanislaus County. We had 5 today, which you may not have gotten. Okay, let's move on to staff comments.
Only comment is thank you to Chief, Vice Mayor Uribe, Mayor O'Brien, the council, and most importantly, all of the volunteers for our free lunch giveaway on this past Friday. We had, I don't know exactly how many cars we had, many hundred, but we gave out 600 hot dogs. So however many cars that divides into, and it was, the community seemed to really appreciate the support, and it was nice to see everybody show up. We weren't sure when we started that we were going to have more than 100, people, and it ended up we sold out by, I think well before we were ready to end the day. So I just really appreciate all of the time and effort people put into that, and a big thanks to Chief and the tactical culinary unit for coming out and barbecuing and doing something nice, and we look forward to doing it again.
Thank you, Sean. Hey, Councilmember any other staff comments? You have staff there.
I don't think we have any additional this evening, Mayor, except for just reminding everybody, please, if you know businesses that need assistance, go to riverbankbusinessrelief.com.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Fossey?
Thank you, Mayor. I have a couple of comments. My first comment is to our public. I see a lot of comments on Facebook, and I'm disappointed to hear that there is nobody online that wants to comment on the playground or anything to do with COVID. I would encourage staff with the City of Riverbank to do what they can to put out when our council meetings are, how to get in, and be online to comment so that we can get some public comment so that maybe we can generate a conversation to have people understand what we're doing and why we're doing it. We are protecting our citizens. We're protecting our own families as well as our citizens. Secondly, there's been some comments about fines, some citations to businesses. I did talk with Sean today. These are complaint-driven citations, which means we don't go out and find them. You call and report them. Businesses that are letting people in without masks. We've had 50 to 60 complaints, according to Sean, and we've given out 3 citations. That's not bad. And if we've given out 3 citations, that means that they've had multiple complaints. So we're doing the right thing. We're trying, again, to protect our citizens and our staff, your family, our family. And then the last one is, I was talking with one of our older citizens who was concerned about people who have lost their jobs and being able to bring in some money through garage sales. And he asked if I could look at the garage sale ordinance. So I have been looking at that with Sean and staff. We will be coming forward with some changes to that ordinance, making it a little bit longer and a little bit more opportunities to have those garage sales. And I look forward to bringing that back in the next 30 days for council to approve. Thank you, Mayor.
We consider, not approve, but we will approve.
Yes, we will consider.
Okay. Councilmember Campbell.
Mouse got stuck. Cursor. I just want to remind everybody that this event we're in with the COVID virus, along with the forest fires right now in the state, a lot of people are really on the edge, and they've got to be patient. And wherever you can donate to help with the forest fires or the COVID virus, or people that you know need help, let's do it when we can. And be patient. We'll get through this.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. So I'll echo a little bit of what Sean said about the community event. Thank you, staff. Thank you, Chief. Thank you to the Culinary Tactical Unit for just sticking with it and just cooking through it all. And thank you, Mayor, for showing up and helping out as well. It was a highlight of my year. It was a great event. It really was. So 2 quick comments. The Stanislaus Homeless Alliance meeting will be tomorrow, September 9th at 5:30 p.m. It is open to the public. If you're interested in participating, feel free to reach out to me via email. You can call me at 719-9255. So we'll be reviewing a community master plan that could potentially bring in some experts to perform an analysis and a workshop here in Riverbank. So I'm excited to see that. I've reached out to the Stanislaus County's outreach team, and they'll be coming out to Scout Hall next Friday, September 18th at 8:30 a.m. So if you know anybody that's homeless or is going from house to house and needs assistance, they need services, navigation, or referrals, let them know that the outreach team will be there September 18th at 8:30 a.m. at Scout Hall. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. My comments. First, I want to thank Sean and your staff for the persistence and excellence in the work. Kathleen, thank you for what you've done for the traffic fee study, but also in keeping the capital improvement plan going for all the projects that you have. I would like to see them updated a little bit more to understand how we're going to be playing it out over the next 5 years. And our end game is not to be looking at the 2025, but looking at the 2025 to 2050 general plan, which we have to start working on very soon, or we're going to miss the deadline of a 2025. Right, Sean?
When you were looking at the camera, I thought maybe you were looking at another staff person. Yes, we are going to need to talk about how we'd like to fund that effort, because it's going to take probably at least a year, if not more.
It's going to take at least 3 years if you go through all of your CEQA. You have 2 additional chapters that have to be in there, environmental justice, and also equality is in those, as well as ADA more prominent than they have in the past. And the last thing I'd like to state is that thank you, Chief, and your tactical culinary team. I didn't realize there was one, but I'm sure that they could parachute out and set up a hamburger stand in a matter of a heartbeat. It was good, and I'd like to see another event like that happen. And I appreciate, again, what all the staff members have been doing. With that, we're going to go into closed session. And for the next hour, I'll be reading closed session. Consists of item 8.1, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation pursuant to subdivision Bravo of Government Code, section 54956.9, number of cases, 1 potential cases. Item 8.2, liability claims. Pursuant to Government Code 54956.95, claimant Luis Mejia. Agent claimed against City of Riverbank. Item 8.3, conference with real property negotiators. Pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.8, property 2767 Topeka Avenue, APN 075-003-011, and APN 075-003-012. Agency negotiator, Sean Scully, city manager. Property negotiator, Wyman Real Properties 1 LP. Under negotiation, price, term, and payment, or both. Item 8.4, conference with real property negotiators pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.8. Property 6436 Oakdale Road, APN 053-054. Agency negotiator Sean Scully, city manager. Property negotiator Built by Burt 2 LLC. Under negotiation, price, terms of payment, or both. Items 8.5, conference with real property negotiators pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.8. Property APN 062-031-005 through 007. Agency negotiator Sean Scully, city manager. Property negotiator Ametis Inc. Under negotiation, price, term of payment, or both. Annabelle, are there any public comments?
Mayor, there are no public comments.
The public portion of this meeting is now concluded. The City Council and the LRA Board will be going into closed session. The report on the closed session items will be reflected in the minutes of this meeting. Anyone interested in receiving what was reported on any item may contact the city clerk by calling 209-863-7198 or email cityclerk@riverbank.org. The next open meeting is on Tuesday, September 22nd at 6 p.m. We will now adjourn to closed session. Thank you and good evening.